you everyone who is on. And just to introduce myself, I'm Sheng with TensorWave. And TensorWave, in case you're not familiar, is a premier cloud service provider for AMD MI300X accelerators. And currently, TensorWave is at the forefront of AI cloud computing, providing robust and scalable infrastructure that powers some of the most innovative AI applications currently. So we have a focus on performance, security, and user experience. And if you are in need of cloud compute, make sure to go to tensorwave.com and get in touch with our team, and we'll get you all taken care of. So today, we are going to dive into our TensorTalks, where we get together on a weekly basis and get into what's been happening in the world of AI, inference, machine learning, all that good stuff, and then projects that are going on in the space as well. So today I will introduce our guests that we have. First, I will introduce Kyle Bell, Vice President of AI at TensorWave. Thank you for joining us. And then we have Sheng, founder of Chatsimple, who also has a background working with Cresta and Google as a software engineer. And we also have hopping on Syed Ahsan, VP of Strategic Partnerships at Chatsimple. So we're going to dive into what Chatsimple is and what's going on with that, and then a couple other news items that you guys maybe have seen lately with NVIDIA and some other stuff going on. Hello, Syed. I see that you just joined. Let me go ahead and invite you to speak so that you can join in on the conversation as we go. Awesome. I just sent that invite. Not sure if that worked or not. So if you need to, you can also request to be a speaker and I can approve that request. I'm not sure if you're seeing what I sent to you there. All right, so while we are waiting for that to get going, first, what I would love to do is, can you introduce yourself and give us just a brief elevator style pitch about your background, how you got into AI and how you got to where you are and what you're working on currently?
For sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Hao. I'm the founder of Chatsimple. So before Chatsimple, my background has been in conversational AI. I've been working as a software engineer at Google, Dialogflow, and Cresta. So both are conversational AI platform that focuses on contact center AI automation. So as you know, like one of the largest AI agent builder Google offer is called Dialogflow. What Dialogflow offer is a platform that you can build to automate your contact center operations. So at Google, I was in charge of the conversational insights for very large enterprises and building the labeling pipeline, including the labeling system as well as the AI model training systems. So at Cresta, I was leading the automation effort for a couple Fortune 500 clients to automate their website and inbound traffic. So that leads to Chatsimple. So at Chatsimple, we are offering business a tool that they can build without hiring professional service to get their AI agent for their inbound sales. Basically, you can put out Chatsimple on your website, and we will be Chatsimple will automatically greet and try to convert every one of your visitors. So that's a high-level overview of my career and what Chatsimple does.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm glad we'll have more time to dive into Chatsimple because that sounds like a very valuable tool. One last question on this topic. What do you think is the most important thing people should know about AI? You've been working in the space for a while. What would you want to share with people?
So the part we learn from many of our customers is they have a very inefficient website. So traditionally, B2B websites are a catalog. You get things like solution, products, blogs, use cases, case studies. So all these are very, very confusing to a new visitor to your website. As you know, like there could be thousands of pages of product demonstration, case studies. So, however, what's relevant for a particular visitor or a potential customer to the website could be just that one thing they are looking for. So what we learned from our customer is Chatsimple was able to help lots of their visitors to understand exactly what they are looking for in this business, get their answer, and help them to determine whether they want to book a meeting or not. So that was the biggest learning from building Chatsimple and working with hundreds of businesses.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And then, Syed, if you would do the same, tell us a little brief elevator style pitch about your background, how you got into AI, and what you're working on with Chatsimple.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for having me. So I come from experience of Samsung, where I was leading partnerships, and so there was nothing to do with AI back then. But we used to have conversation all the time with respect to evolution of our smartphones and TVs and how potentially AI will going to impact. Um, so when I came across Chatsimple, I was really fascinated by how well it works because I tried quite a few products. Um, and Chatsimple really stood out for its simplicity as well as, I'd say, configurability to make it work in a variety of business settings. So that was sort of my entry to AI and really advising how, as well as kind of working closely with him, is strategically thinking about how this market will evolve. And that's sort of how I got started. So really it started off with product. And then I think my point of view, I think along the same lines that Hao was sharing, I think if you take a step back and think about how our world has evolved, we live in an information age where information speed, or the speed with which it moves, is fascinating, in the sense that in the old age you had a catalog-based website. Think about like Yahoo search, and then Google came with search and making it very easy for anybody to quickly find with that keyword. We saw TikTok doing much better with personalizing and bringing that information that's useful to you. And now we are seeing AI, which is going to bring exactly what you're looking for, your precise answer to your questions. So overall, across the board, we think that we are living in an information age where we are bringing that information faster to the customers. And so in many ways, that's what we are doing at Chatsimple, whether it's customer support questions that people may have when they land on your website, to nudging them with the right products that would be a good fit for them, all the way to persuading them to take actions. As Hao mentioned, we are building AI agent platform, so anybody can build these agents in a simple and easy to configure manner and deploy it to take certain actions, such as setting up meetings or capturing lead information of the visitors, and so on and so forth. So that's fundamentally the idea.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit more on that. So, one last question on the topic. What are you hoping to accomplish with AI, whether it's personal or in business? What's your big goal that you're working for right now?
Yeah, so my big goal is to make it very easy for anybody and everybody on the website to quickly get to that information that helps them make decisions. So think of a decision interface, because AI is having so many superpowers, if you will. Superpowers in the sense that it will have the contextual knowledge that just like us human beings have. It will be able to have two-way conversation. It would have the similar or better intelligence and logic and reasoning capabilities. So how do we utilize these superpowers that AI is bringing is by bringing that interface of intelligence across the different web and internet or application interfaces. So that's my dream spot to be at.
Mm-hmm.
I'll chime in a bit on my goal for helping businesses. So I think I wanna one of my goal building Chatsimple is to give lots of the SMB, the business who typically don't have the resource to build AI or leverage AI a simple way or a way for them to adopt AI. So what does that mean? Like at Google, like we have very, very large clients who we charge them hundreds of millions of dollars to build AI solution for them. And we hire a very large professional service team to build AI agent. However, I think that doesn't benefit millions of small, medium-sized business. So at Chatsimple, what we are looking at to achieve is exactly how do we bring these kind of capability or even better capability to millions of businesses that are in need of AI but don't have the enough resource, traditionally to build an AI agent. Can we have something simple? Can we have something cheap for them to build?
Which is in the name of your business itself. Simple. I like it. Very nice. Awesome. So we will cut over to you, Kyle. You are a regular here. So I thought I'd just change it up a little bit and ask you what you are working on with your day-to-day with TensorWave. Is there anything you can share with us that's exciting, updates there, or what it looks like in your day-to-day?
Yeah, obviously been making progress on building out an inference stack. Main goal there is to basically productize a persistent caching at scale. So obviously there's some very obvious use cases when you're dealing with much longer contexts. I think it's become much more relevant too with the release of the 3.1 models, right? Because now you're seeing longer contexts as in these default models everyone is using. I think it's kind of interesting though. So obviously there's many use cases where you can essentially use a long context solution like we're building to power your primary use case, right? And that would be loading in a large document and having a real-time conversation with it without having to reprocess the prefill every single time. But I'm also trying to figure out the best possible way to build out this API to power agents as well. So the thought is, you may have your main function calling LLM, right? Let's say that's the juicy center kind of routing your function callbacks. Well, I think the thought there is, in some circumstances, I need to use RAG, right? RAG is still useful. It's efficient. But then there might be other use cases where you do want to analyze a full document, maybe something that hasn't been indexed, or maybe it's a system level prompt that can't be fed small sections of the original document. In that case, I can see people kind of leveraging long context type solutions in an agentic system on the fly, and then utilizing that LLM as the need arises, right? So it's not like really, I don't think there's like a one size fits all LLM solution anymore. Everyone is building these complex systems of models and functionalities. And that's really where you have to be providing full value to the customer. That being said, too, on the other side, we're also trying to get more organized and geared up to launch some open source initiatives. We've been surveying the landscape a bit, and we kind of want to help out people in the open source community to get more AMD support built into the ecosystem.
Awesome. Yeah, super exciting. Thank you for sharing that. That is some cool stuff that you're working on. I can tell you're excited about it too, which is awesome. All right, so let's dive in a little bit more to Chatsimple and really understanding what it is you guys do. How, and Syed, you kind of gave us a long-term or kind of like a goal-oriented explanation of it, but can you tell me more about how it works, what it is that it's going to do for a client, and who your ideal client would be within that ecosystem?
Yeah, so let me give you some idea of a Chatsimple long-term picture. What we are trying to build is an AI-powered business to their customer interface. How can we best help businesses to communicate and deliver value to their end users is something we've been thinking very hard and we've been helping lots of business to do. So our ideal customers right now are B2B businesses who are also focusing on deliver their value to their high value customers. So these would be our ideal customer base.
Awesome. And then I have some questions about how did you build Chatsimple? What was it like on the back end of putting this together?
Back end in terms of technology or like functions or the starting story of Chatsimple?
You could go either direction. I was specifically curious about the technology, just for the nature of what we're doing, but all of that sounds fascinating. So share whatever you would like to speak about.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the back end, so I am from a software engineer background. So traditionally, the AI agent are built with a state machine, or more known as a decision tree based architecture. So what a traditional bot building platform would do is be able to help you to build a state machine. That's what most traditional bot or agent company were working on. However, Chatsimple is very different. We take the spirit of it that business requires specific workflow, and helping business to define workflow is very important. But what's more is to leverage the capability of the emerging generative AI, be able to actually pull information that's most relevant to the visitor's query and formulate it in a way that's human readable and understandable, is something we do on the back end of Chatsimple. Specifically, we use something called retrieve augmented generation. So basically, we use two parts. If we divide the work, one is to retrieve the most relevant context and most relevant information from a large knowledge base. The second part is to use that retrieved context or knowledge to build a human readable response and deliver that to the end user. Alongside, we build our own search engine and also build our kind of own model selections, as well as specific RAG techniques in the backend of Chatsimple.
Awesome. So I'm curious about, with Chatsimple, what features are you most excited about currently, and do you have anything in store that's coming up in the future to keep building and improving on it?
I think a couple of things are, as we know, like AI is improving on a daily basis. We see Llama 3.1 just a week ago. We see GPT-4o, and they demonstrate the voice capabilities. I think that's on the verge of releasing to everyone, and even in the API format. So the upcoming multimodality of ways that people can engage with the AI is something I really and truly excited about. Meaning the engagement is no longer text; it could be via voice, it could be via like maybe images or videos. So these are the emerging capability that I think super exciting to adopt.
Awesome. Yeah, it is exciting to integrate all of those different modalities there. Awesome. So Syed, a question for you. Have you considered collaborating with cloud compute providers such as TensorWave to leverage their AI infrastructure for Chatsimple? And then Kyle, I'm curious of any benefits you could see on something like that for a platform like Chatsimple from both of you.
Yeah, so I think speaking for Chatsimple, we are at the stage where we are building quite a few features or product functionalities specific to making it more AI native. So think of AI native website, AI native search, things of that nature. All of these capabilities will require more and more compute power. So I think we will have the need to collaborate more closely very soon, but we are not quite there yet.
Awesome. And Kyle, just from your standpoint, what benefits could partnership with cloud compute platforms like TensorWave bring to companies and startups and stuff such as Chatsimple?
Yeah, I think the nice thing about Tier 2 is you're able to host your own models. You're not paying per token. I know a lot of startups will just start with a wrapper with a GPT to get the ground running. And honestly, that's the best way to get your prototype, test the market, and really make sure your agentic system works, right? When you're building an agent, the LLM itself may not be the first thing to focus on. But obviously, as you build a more mature product, you want to fine tune your own models, make sure that the function calling is working really well. At that point, it'd be very good to self-host your models. And obviously, if you're doing that and you start doing that at scale, it's better to have an enterprise model where you can kind of all you can eat on your own servers, for instance, once you have the kind of traffic going through. So there's really a certain point where it doesn't make sense to be paying per token anymore. And the benefit too with TensorWave's platform is frankly the massive amounts of VRAM compared to the traditional NVIDIA ecosystem. So we're trying to figure out the best ways to leverage that to either add new capabilities in the form of stuff like long context or enable caching in a way that can help minimize the amount of reprocessing when you're doing these longer chats as well. So at the end of the day, then you're doing less compute and you're getting more bang for your buck out of the actual GPUs.
Awesome. It's super exciting to just see how technology is advancing, it seems like minute by minute, and how that works on the cloud compute side of things, and then also for the customer facing more like programs and platforms like Chatsimple. It's cool to see how those kind of work together cohesively to build some pretty awesome businesses. Very cool. Thank you guys for sharing.
If I may ask a question for Kyle, would it be possible for you to quantify, let's say, the cost efficiency that bring from, let's say, moving to TensorWave? It's really, I guess, dependent upon the usage and other factors, but I would love to hear a little bit on that cost efficiency that you're typically able to drive.
Yeah, obviously. So it depends what we're comparing against. If you're doing cost per token, obviously at low traffic volumes, enterprise model doesn't make sense. Renting an entire node, 8 GPUs typically. That being said, it depends on the size of the model too, right? If you're using, let's say, a Llama 7DB, you're going to get a lot more performance than, let's say, a 405B. That being said, we can get an entire 7DB model working full FP16 on a single GPU. So, you can have 8 replicas on a single node, for instance. Now, obviously, if you're trying to optimize for latency, then you want to use all 8 nodes or all 8 GPUs for a single replica, right? To make sure you have really low latency TTFT. But it really depends on your use case. We have had some interest since the 405B model came out as well. Some people are trying to get that GPT-4 quality output, but not paying per token. So there's been a sweet spot there. That being said, we've also been able to, with the help of MK1, quantize that down to FP8 with very little, essentially, loss in perplexity. So you're still getting essentially the full quality response even at FP8. At that point, we can actually handle 2 replicas, 1 node. So. And it depends, too, on your traffic, right? If you're doing ad hoc, just human chat, you're going to see more like spikes in traffic, stuff like that. And if you have some background processing as well, that can help, take up maybe some of the off hours, so to speak. But it's hard to say, like, here's the number. There's a lot of variables that go into it. But I would say at a certain peak, once you're your spend with a token-based system exceeds a certain amount, it's cheaper just to instantiate your own LLMs, right? And then just hit those as much as you want.
Yep, yeah, exactly. I think for certain volume, that will start to make sense. Kyle, do you want to? Can you speak about the pricing a bit? Like, how much is it to own your own instance, GPU instance? from?
Yeah, I mean, I checked the latest pricing models. I think we hover around $3 per GPU hour. That being said, we do longer reservations, and there's a pretty good discount when you do that. So obviously, we are kind of targeting a little bit larger companies that are looking to rent their own nodes, potentially multiple of them. Yeah, that being said, we're always playing around with some different models. Once we get this inference stack up and running, that may change things a little bit too. The goal there is to kind of abstract away inference from the actual compute. So instead of having to deal with the complexities of ROCm and all this stuff to get your services built up, it'd be more of a just configure your replica set and download your model and you're good to go. Right now, you can just treat it as compute, and you're a little more agnostic than as AMD or NVIDIA.
Yep. Okay, got it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like I may have to put you guys in touch after this too, so you can further the conversation if you have further questions. But Kyle, you mentioned something a little bit. You mentioned NVIDIA, AMD, and some of those companies. So that brings us right into our next topic of going over some news items that have been out there recently and kind of getting your guys' thoughts on how they can affect the AI market and what's going on. So I'll just share a little bit about this headline and then we'll dive into discussing it. There was a recent Verge article that talked about NVIDIA's antitrust probes from the DOJ due to its market dominance in AI and how it's being accused of being a monopoly and how there might be some movement against NVIDIA in the court systems on this particular topic. So whoever wants to speak on it first, feel free, but I'm curious what you guys think about how it's going to impact the AI industry as a whole, or if it's even going to make a difference what's going on right now.
Yeah, I think, Kyle, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, so my take on NVIDIA is they have there are two parts to the GPU or the AI compute. There's a training time and at inference time. So recently we saw Grok just raise, I believe, 500 million, something like that, to what they are very strong at is inference. On the inference time, they are much faster than an NVIDIA chip. So when we talk about inference, I do think there are lots of competition, especially for upcoming like ASIC design chips. They will outperform like GPUs on inference of like transformer-based models, and we see like competition like Grok and other chip or computation platform. They offer a much better and much cheaper on inference. So I think NVIDIA will face a lot of competition on that front. However, on the training side, I just don't see any chip is even closer to the latest like H100 or B100 chip that NVIDIA offering. So yeah, I would say if we can have a more fair playing field for the training part, training of the large language model, that would be great for many reasons.
And Kyle, were you going to add something to that? I'm curious what you think if any of this stuff going on in the court systems is going to change anything in the markets at all.
Yeah, I think it may loosen up the market a little bit. Obviously, we talk to a lot of people that have been using H100 chips, right? We put them on POCs. Some people are very, very happy with the MI300X, fine tuning, training, and inference. The downside sometimes when you're talking to these people, they're a bit pressured not deviate from renting NVIDIA, right? There is this kind of, and this is exactly what I was reading in one of the articles too. People are claiming that NVIDIA is pressuring customers not to buy competing hardware. Otherwise, they get punished in terms of allocation or shipping times. But this is something I've literally seen in the market. So it is kind of I don't know. I wouldn't call it a secret or anything, but it is definitely something people make jokes about on the NVIDIA side. And especially the cabling too. You saw their acquisition of Mellanox. I think that was back 2020. But they kind of been building this full vertical, right? It's not just GPUs. It's all the other hardware that goes into it. Now that has helped them able to kind of fine tune what that hardware stack looks like. But that kind of makes them even more of a monopoly, right? So now when people are buying NVIDIA GPUs, they are pressured to essentially buy Mellanox cabling. And when they don't have the choice on cables, all of a sudden they can charge more for Mellanox. So you see this premium on NVIDIA hardware that I think additional competition can help bring down. So, and that's obviously what we're trying to do here at TensorWave. And yeah, I mean, we're able to essentially use Ethernet cables, for instance. So we're not stuck in this kind of full vertical ecosystem that we have to adhere to. So it feels like we get to be a little more creative on the infrastructure side.
It's interesting that this comes alongside of some pretty significant delays with NVIDIA shipments too. So, I mean, I wonder if they're related, if they're feeding off of each other, or how that's going to play out with people's access. And on that topic, how do you think that NVIDIA's market dominance and these antitrust probes could affect companies like yours, Hal and Syed, like Chatsimple's access to cutting-edge hardware and software within the AI space? Do you think there could be any effect on that side of things?
Yeah. So right now we are mainly partner with a company like Together AI, OpenAI. So we don't host our own hardware. The one compelling reason for us to move to hosting our own inference hardware would be the cost. So when we maybe have somewhere like maybe double or triple our monthly cost on inference, we may start thinking about moving to a much more cheaper or cost efficient way to do inference. There are a couple of things like we are going to work on like next, which would require a lot more these computational power. So that's why we are right now actively looking at the way that we can reduce our cost and potentially support a lot more concurrency in our systems. So back to NVIDIA, like these are not like immediate affecting us, but longer term as we grow our number of inference we need to done like per second and per minute, and as we grow our also per customer how much computation we put in, we're definitely looking to hosting our own software, our own hardware, and that will definitely affect us later on.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this plays out, especially alongside of the announcements of Google being found as a monopoly and how they haven't decided what that means or what kind of repercussions there will be, but that's going to be the next thing they decide in court, and that could maybe lay the groundwork of what NVIDIA would face depending on how this goes moving forward. So it will definitely be something interesting to keep our eyes on. We have a few minutes here. I just want to briefly touch on this other news item that was super interesting and see what your thoughts were on this. We hear a lot about Neuralink and the chips that are implanted, but I came across this other one called Synchron that said it's integrated ChatGPT 4o with its brain-computer interface technology to aid paralyzed patients in faster communication. So this one's super interesting because it's not being implanted in the brain, but rather in a blood vessel near the brain's motor cortex and the part of the brain that controls movement. So just really, really interesting stuff. What do you guys think initially about this innovative application of an LLM like ChatGPT 4o, and what potential do you see for AI in healthcare, and especially for those who have physical handicaps like this?
Yeah, so we talk about different modalities a lot on this space. But that's going to be the real interesting one. Maybe that's going to be the big buzz in 2025 or 2026 is direct brain interfaces. So, forget text, forget audio. What happens when you can feed electrical messages from the brain directly into it? And I did see a video. I'm not sure if this was the Synchron video, but I did watch a video, I think yesterday. They were analyzing, I think, movements in the facial muscles, right? So they're analyzing literally the facial muscles and able to determine what the patient was attempting to say, and then able to recreate that on a speaker.
Wow. Just from facial muscle movement. That's fascinating.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily need to be a direct implant. There's plenty of signals that an LLM could get that you wouldn't really think of, right? It could be a twitch of a muscle. Attempt of a nerve signal through a muscle, right? You see all the time. You've seen videos of people controlling a robotic arm, for instance, like an amputee. A lot of times they're able to just analyze the muscle twitches, right, farther up the arm, and then really able to figure out what they were attempting to do with the digital arm, essentially.
Yeah. So I think it's super interesting to get your thoughts, Hao or Syed, on you guys work with conversational AI, the chatbots, and that side of things. What possibilities do you think something like this brain-computer interface opens up for improving the human-computer interactions like your company is working on?
Yeah, I think it's a very advanced topic. Right now, we see all these applications are helping people who are physically handicapped to regain some abilities. So couple of things I think that's very profound. One is if you think about the bit rate between people, how we communicate, are mostly through languages, right? Like I talk, but the bit rate of information transfer is very, very slow. How much I can say, how many words can I say per second? Very, very limited. However, I remember Elon Musk was on this podcast. They were talking about Neuralink and other technology like that. We can see a doubling the bit rate of communication every 2 years. So it's kind of like a new Morse law. So if we have a very, very high bandwidth of communicating thoughts, that will help people to engage with AI much, much more efficiently, as well as AI to engage with people much, much more efficiently, not necessarily through voice anymore, but through some of the neural brain AI interface or brain computer interface will be able to transfer the knowledge very, very quickly, not even using like language model. Could be some form of embeddings. We just deliver that to your head. It's like it's like they can read your mind. You can also, without lifting a finger, just get lots of things done.
And Syed, it looked like you were gonna maybe say something. Did you have something to add?
No, that was fantastic to hear from Hao. Without lifting your finger and getting stuff done. I think we have talked about AI agent doing stuff for us. We have talked about AI agents talking to each other and completing entire workflow. So not just a task, but entire workflow. The future is fascinating, is what I think. It's good to hear everybody's thoughts on this.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. I know we could continue on, but that is just about the end of our time today. Does anyone, Hao, Syed, Kyle, any closing thoughts that you would want to share as we're wrapping up our conversation? Not all at once, guys.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the conundrum, right? Who speaks or waits to speak. But no, I think closing thoughts is, especially looking at how fast the space has been moving recently and all the news. Don't take what the capabilities are today and try to linearly project that into the future, right? People like to look at this today and like, oh, well, LLMs are only so useful for these certain tasks. And really is, okay, well, they're not going to be large language models, right? They're going to be VLMs, very large models. They're going to take all kinds of different input. We can't even imagine use cases for this kind of technology in 5 years from now, or even 12 months from now. So in my mind, it's always, think beyond the basic use cases and think beyond transformers. Like the amount of energy and resources being put in AI with this new wave is bound to unlock additional breakthroughs.
Absolutely. Yeah, great thoughts. How?
On that, Chatsimple is always exploring the latest AI and how we can build a better business to their customer interface. With that, we are very, very excited. We think the future of AI is not just text. We're thinking more towards multimodal communication, including like generative web. How do we personalize interfaces for each one of the website visitors, not just through conversation, but also through personalized website and web pages that everyone sees different web pages when you go on the same website. So we think these kind of technology that's hyper-personalized in nature and require lots of AI computation, and traditionally we were not able to do it. We will start seeing more and more of these applications because there are large amount of money that can be driven from these sort of hyper-personalized engagement and interactions. We are going to see in the probably next 12 months.
Awesome. And Syed, any closing thoughts, or did that sum it up for you?
I think that was fantastic. I would just add that we all need to sort of keep taking steps. I think this space is very fast moving. There's just so much knowledge, a wealth of knowledge that's coming out every day, new innovations. We all have to keep pushing because the future is beautiful if you keep up. I think it may feel overwhelming to somebody who's not keeping up or not taking steps. But yeah, get started. Keep learning, keep sharing, and it'll be fantastic.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us today. I know you're in a different time zone even, so I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedules with all you're doing and building. For anyone that wants to check out more about Chatsimple, visit them here on X at Chatsimple_. And for us at TensorWave, if you want to find out more or make sure to join us for our next conversation, make sure you're following us here at TensorWave Cloud or on LinkedIn at TensorWave. And we will be back next week for another exciting conversation. Thank you guys so much for joining and look forward to discussing more next week. Bye.